InfoPlus for genuine information.
Namaste and welcome to InfoPlus on Himalaya Television. Today we are joined by an accomplished leader in business education, Dr. Kellie Vincent, the Executive Dean of Business at Ravensbourne University, London. With a rich academic and professional journey spanning top institutions, her global work from the UK to Africa, India and Central Asia speaks volumes about her commitment to impactful learning and strategic leadership. Namaste.
Namaste.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Please. Meet Dr. Kellie Vincent, Executive Dean of Business at Ravensbourne University, London. With a distinguished career spanning academy and industry, Dr. Vincent has held key leadership roles at the University of Bedfordshire, University of Westminster, and Oxford Brookes University, where her innovative MBA programs gained global recognition. The journey began in the food industry, market research, and consultancy. Before transitioning into education, she authored over 50 professional study texts, launched global distance learning programs, and contributed to the development of academic partnership worldwide. From Africa to India, Oman to Russia, Dr. Vincent's research explores boardroom behaviors, corporate psychopaths, branding, and student experience. As Executive Dean, she leads the charge in advancing strategy, building industry links, and shaping a future-ready business school with high standards in teaching and innovation.
Info Plus for genuine information.
Namaste and welcome to the show Info Plus on Himalayan TV.
Thank you very much for having me. Namaste.
You have such a diverse career from food industry to consultancy and academy. Were there any interesting or defining moment when you felt or knew that education is your true calling?
Absolutely. I taught while I was doing my master's degree. I used to teach adults in the evening, and I absolutely loved it. And then I did my PhD, and I went into the food industry. When my first son was born, I realised that if I wanted to work, and I did, I'd have to be doing something that I really loved to leave him. And I sat there, talked to my husband, and we were saying, what should we do? What should we do? And at that point, I saw an advert to go back into teaching. And so it happened. It just kind of called me back. And then I've been really fortunate. I've worked in a range of different educational settings, so from further education and then into universities and academic publishing. So it's just happened just through loving being with students, I think.
So it's been how many years that you are involved and working in this sector?
Well, constantly more than 20, but obviously I started working in education as a student back in 1997, so a long time, but in and out. And I think I've always tried to keep that presence in industry and academia and keep them blending together.
You have been working as the Dean of Ravensbourne University since a very long time. How has been your experience so far?
Okay, so I'm just about to take on the Dean's post because we're launching our brand new business school, and I've worked with Ravensbourne University for the last 18 months. Originally I came as an interim head of business and computing, and then a permanent head of business, and then I'm really fortunate to have been selected to become the first Dean of our new business school. I love it at Ravensbourne, and the reason I love it is I've worked with a number of different business schools. They've all been great. I've worked in Oxford, in London, in various universities around the world, but this is the first university for me that business finally has a context. We are all about the creative industries, and so it felt like something that I wanted to really get involved with.
So what are the extra qualities you found in these universities as compared to other universities? Because we can see lots of varieties of universities and institutions in London. So what are the extra qualities for the students who would like to seek their further studies in this university?
So we have a new strategy, but it's based on that Ravensbourne heritage of being strongly rooted in creativity. And we blend business, creativity and technology. It's unlike any other institution I've worked with in that we genuinely all work together. So you don't find siloed faculties, you don't have a science over here and business over there and fashion over here. We all work together and we create courses together. And by doing that, that means that we've actually got that creative streak across everything we do. But our creative students also benefit from a bit more business acumen. So it's a unique offer. We don't have a lecture theatre. We teach in a very different, more creative way. And it's truly a collaboration between business, creativity and technology colliding.
What are the, as you mentioned, new technologies? What are the new technologies for the students there?
So we are just launching a Centre for Emerging Excellence in Technology, and that's both a space and a concept. So as a space, we have a suite that enables motion capture. At the moment, students wear mocap suits and we capture that. But going forward, we'll be using cameras to detect body movements. So when we're teaching body language, when we're looking at boardroom behaviours, we can literally put students in that space to actually look at how they work and how they perform together. That's really exciting. I think because technology is moving so rapidly, we take the view that everything is bringing a sense of technology to it. So artificial intelligence, which everyone has become very hysterical about in some senses, and particularly when we look at students' work and how students use it, we've always taken the view that you actually teach students to use it effectively and ethically, and that they are using it to help define their careers and develop that greater sense of capability going forward. But there's so much change in the world of technology, and I think it's because we all talk together and we work together constantly that all of our discipline areas can keep up.
As I know that Ravensbourne University was established in 1962, so it has already created a history, I believe. So what are the faculties? There must be plenty of faculties for the students who would love to seek their further education there. So could you give brief of some of the faculties for the students?
Yes, so we have our 3 schools. So the 3 schools are creativity and one in computing and of course business. And so the sort of courses, the historical Ravensbourne heritage has been in film and television and media and fashion and architecture and design. Lots of our students have gone into working in the media, lots in the advertising industry. And that's been a real strength of Ravensbourne. We've always worked with industry, and our students have always worked with industry. Within computing and business, we are the new kids on the block. We've been around less time. But actually the business students account for more than half, business computer students account for more than half the students in the university. So it's very much a thriving, growing area. And we benefit because our staff, we still are a very collegiate staff base. So our business staff come from industry quite often, but they also come from academia. But we blend that business and practice constantly. Number of our television and media staff are ex-BBC. We host, thanks to a number of our fantastic design team, Paula Williams and her team, we host the BBC motion graphics archive. So any piece of motion graphics that the BBC has had since its inception, we host that for them. And so my colleague Paula has just recently published a book looking at BBC motion graphics. And part of that was about retaining that strength of where has Ravensbourne come from, but also where are we going. So we collaborate on industry projects, we would take a multidisciplinary perspective. So I think the insights that industry get from us as an institution are truly rounded. It's not just one part of the university.
I believe we have traveled and worked in many countries. So is there any experience that lost an impact on you personally?
Oh, I've loved every country, and I love Nepal. It's been amazing since I've arrived here.
So is this your first time here in Nepal?
It's my first time in Nepal, but it's always been on my list of places to visit, because I had an amazing MBA student many years ago, and he told me all about Nepal, and I've been desperate to visit, so that's why. I think for me, Amman will always have a really strong place in my heart, because I've taught there quite a lot. Poland, equally. I used to fly and teach in Poland for the weekend and back. And Tashkent, that's a very special place in Uzbekistan for me, because I took a group of students there and they didn't want to go to Tashkent. They wanted to go to somewhere completely different. And they had the best week ever. They visited boardrooms, they learned how business worked, they consulted with businesses there. So the plane journey out to Tashkent, none of them were really speaking to me, they were a bit grumpy. And on the way back, everybody had just had such a fantastic time, nobody wanted to return home. So it was, so I think lots of places have been amazing, but those 3 stand out.
So what personal values guides a leadership style?
Oh, academic leadership is challenging. Everybody is an expert in their field, and everyone knows more about something than everyone else. So for me, the essence of a leader is you never know everything. You always have more to learn. I think also it's about thinking about people, and people make decisions. People sometimes make the best decisions, sometimes the worst decisions, and sometimes we have to make difficult decisions. So as a leader, I don't believe in sugarcoating. If there's some very difficult decision that has to be made, I think being honest and transparent and explaining why something happened, people might not like it, but they can understand it. And I think being true to yourself and being human as a leader is, for me, the biggest, the most important thing to stick to.
You're on the forefront of the online learning courses as well. How do you see the technology shaping the future of the students in today's arena?
It's really interesting, and I know that we're now 5 years on from the COVID pandemic, but I worked in distance learning, 20 years ago, and for a long time, and I was probably better known in distance learning than face-to-face teaching. At that time, it was all about being human. It was not about the technology, it was about building that opportunity to learn, and it was about using technology to enhance what you were doing in the classroom. The pandemic, actually, I think most people then thought they knew what distance learning was and how to use technology to support learning.
And also technology is very important in today's world, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that everything then shifted and it changed, because actually what we forgot was that it's not about the technology, it's about the human and technology collaboration, and how actually technology is there to support humankind, not
That's
the
true.
other way around.
True.
And I think post-pandemic, attitudes and expectations have shifted. People expect more of technology, and I think if you look at those working in the technology industry, their pace of change is so intensive that actually that's why you need that human technology collaboration, just to keep people a bit more grounded.
Your work has taken you many places like Russia, India, Africa, and many more, I believe. How have these international experience influenced your academic and leadership approach in your career?
Yeah, I think ultimately it's about understanding that globally we may not always agree on things, and when we work with global students, whether they're in their home countries or whether they're in the UK, again, sometimes some things can be politically sensitive and we may not always agree, but the true value is in listening to each other and agreeing, not to necessarily always agree at every point, but to listen and agree to disagree in a civil way, in a respectful way, but learn about others around the world. And for me, I think all of the travel that I've ever taken, the one thing that's been really true is that people genuinely care about each other. So I think that international travel, if you keep your mind open and you recognise that things are very different around the world, and that's not a bad thing, because actually it would be boring if the world was all the same. So from that perspective, recognising that everybody and every country will have a different value and something that's really special about it, and recognising that is really...
How important do you think is that global exposure and culture understanding for the students?
Absolutely essential. I remember
because
the very first
at your university also, I think we can see students from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how important is it for you?
It's critical, because business students now are operating in a global world. So whether you are only ever going to live and work in the country you've been born in, you'll still be buying brands that are global brands. You'll still be interacting with neighbours and friends and colleagues who are from overseas. My very first business trip or work trip with the university, I went with a Swedish professor called Professor Sven Hollandsson, and he had written a book in which he was one of the first people to talk about everything now is born global. And it's true, in the business world, everything can be exported and everything can be sold. International trade laws are one thing, but actually we have a global marketplace. And so having that sensitivity to why something may work in one country that won't work in another, understanding how people might have slightly different perspectives, but actually one thing that they will share is aspiration. And so I think it's really important that cultural sensitivity, our students, one of the first things we do is we ask them to go and visit the Liberty store in London. And what they realise when they're walking around that store is that there are people from all around the world in that store, and there are brands there to appeal to the international tourist market as well as the market in London. And that gives them a really good sense of, okay, I get it, I do need to be culturally aware.
You have already authored 50 textbooks, I believe, till now. What piece of advice would you like to give to the students who would like to pursue their career in business?
Okay, so my study texts were textbooks that were created by the publisher I worked for, and that's because they were written for professional bodies. So the professional bodies ethos is that everything we do is about learning and studying and industry. And I think from my perspective, starting out writing books that were for professional bodies really instilled in me that sense that everything we do and everything we learn, we need to think about how does it work in practice and how does it add something valuable to practice. So from students' perspective, they need to engage with and look at what's really happening in industries they want to work for. But equally, for those industries, they need to be thinking about what is it that students need to study and why are they studying it and how do we bring the two together. For me, that's how students benefit, is how businesses benefit, and it's how societies can move on.
Sounds so inspiring. So what keeps you inspired as a leader?
As a leader, what keeps me inspired as a leader, it's when you see members of your team who have tried something new and they've been inspired and they've innovated in a way, and we've just made a bit of a difference. And I think for me, that's really important. I would hate anybody in the team to think that they couldn't try to innovate, couldn't try to change. I think we need to be bold and confident and try new things without expecting them to always work 100%. But so what inspires me is when people do take that leap of faith and they do try something new.
And what personal values guides your leadership and decision making? Because you seems to be involved in so many things and it's not so easy to become this successful.
I think you have to know that you have to just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think you have to just keep learning. And interestingly, I was speaking to a member of the hotel staff here yesterday, and she was a really inspiring young lady, and she said to me, anything is possible. And that warmed my heart because I believe anything is possible. And she said, anything is possible if you try, and I believe that wholeheartedly. So I think, yeah, ensuring that everyone keeps trying is a really good thing. So whether they're students or members of academic faculty or business owners, just keep trying. Then it will work.
Wonderful. And Ravensbourne University, London is a well-established university, and there are so many Nepalese students who would love to seek their further studies in the UK. So what are the extra qualities we find in these universities, and also is there scholarship facilities there, and if so, what are the criteria for that?
Okay, so yes, we do have an international scholarship, and we work very closely with Oxford International, are one of our key recruitment partners here in Nepal, and they help facilitate those scholarships. So students would just need to make sure that they are working with them to make sure they fit the right criteria. But we have a huge number. Our biggest market, I think, at the moment for our international students for business courses is from Nepal. It's been a huge success. We introduced International Year 1 last year, just this year. And from that cohort of students, 2/3 are Nepalese. It's become a very, very popular course in Nepal, and that's at undergraduate level. And students, I have to say that all of the academic teaching team, when I told them I was here to visit Nepal, they were universally telling me, our Nepalese students are amazing. They're so driven and committed and polite, and they just try really hard. So I think we always would support that, this community of students.
And what piece of advice would you like to give to the students who would love to pursue their further education at your university?
I think the advice would be really do your homework and look at a range of universities. I would always say that to any student, because you're going to live somewhere for a period of time, and you've got to be happy and content where you live. We're really fortunate. We're based in a very safe part of London. We're based next to the O2, which you can even see as you fly in to London. It's the big Millennium Dome that's really famous now. It's a very safe part of London. It's a very inspiring part of London. My advice would be do your homework on the local area, prepare, make sure that you understand a little bit about what the winter's like, because it can be quite chilly.
Okay.
But also make sure that you're thinking about, how do I make sure I've got the right IT equipment? How do I make sure that I'm preparing for studies? Start to read the English press. Start to become a little bit familiar with what you would expect. Look into the companies that you want to work with, because actually one thing we would always encourage our students. Recently, we had a careers fair for our students, and the big difference for us was that we didn't create the student careers fair, the students created the careers fair. So for students looking to come and work with us, start to investigate before you arrive. What companies do you really want to target? Which companies would you want to work for? And make sure that you're learning a little bit about them, so when you arrive you can tell us all about what you would like, and where we can, we'll make sure that we put that opportunity together for you.
And how many courses are available at present at your university?
Oh, the sheer number.
There must be plenty, isn't it?
Yeah,
there must be plenty.
Launching 4 new business and 3 new computing courses, so the exact numbers aren't in my head, but within the business school we have specialist masters in marketing and in project management, and of course an MBA. And we're just here in Nepal with the launch of our events management, engineering management, accounting and finance, and international finance. And we also have a range of computing courses. The lovely thing about Ravensbourne is we do give students choice. So for example, if a student was interested in cybersecurity, yes, they could complete a cybersecurity course. But if they were probably more business orientated, they could, but still on the edge of technology, they could then choose to do cybersecurity management. Or if they would rather learn business with a hint of technology, they could complete their MBA with a specialism in cybersecurity. So we try to give that flexible choice so that students, irrespective of whether they want to be more business facing or if they want to be more technology or technical type roles, there is a course that will suit them.
Oh, there are plenty of courses available.
Lots. Plus our creative industry courses are amazing. They are among the best in the country. So film and television, and at the moment the university is at a very critical stage. We are launching, and because of the growth that we've seen, we are launching new courses all of the time. So it's always a good opportunity to look at what new courses are on offer. And you know, we have fashion degrees, we have fashion masters, we have architecture, and we have business and film and television. So all of those, along with our established design courses, and advertising and brand, graphic design, and all of those types of courses, they're all available for our you know, for Nepalese students to come and choose.
Is there also work placement facilities there?
Work placement is absolutely central to us. So every undergraduate student at Ravensbourne, we have something we call professional life practice, which runs through every year of their degree. And in their second year, every student will go out and do some form of work-based learning. So whether that's a placement, or whether it's a consultancy project, or whether they're working on an internal competition with fellow students, that's all available, and that's what they can do throughout their course. At postgraduate level, certainly in the area of business, we have introduced far more options for students for their final projects. And working in consultancy, going and working in an internship, it can all be part of what you do for the final project. Plus, any work that you're completing as part of your experience when you can work part-time in London, you can also factor in through the Ravensbourne Advanced Leadership Framework, which is a way that we're really testing student competencies and capacity for working in industry. They choose how they put that together, and they have to look at how it works with business, technology and creativity. But they can do things that are very much linked to industry throughout that course, and they get recognised as part of the course, even though it's something they've defined for themselves.
Wonderful. Finally, any message or advice you would like to give to the viewers who are watching you right now?
I guess the first message is thank you for hosting my first visit to Nepal, because it's been amazing already. And I think the second kind of more important part is collaboration is everything. And I think collaboration is where, whether that's industry and academia working together, it's about making sure that we all keep learning from each other. So for any businesses out there who are keen to join a virtual network to try and help direct the future of courses, we often run industry scrutiny days where we're saying, check out our courses. Do they do what you want them to do? But equally for those students, it's really important that we hear what industries they want to work in. So I think that collaboration is really everything, and that's the kind of key final message.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Info Plus for genuine information.
That brings us to the end of a fascinating conversation with Dr. Kellie Vincent, whose leadership is helping shape the future of business education at Ravensbourne University, London. From redesigning MBA program to expanding global academic partnership, her work continues to inspire both students and professionals around the world. Thank you, Dr. Vincent, for sharing your journey, insight, and vision with us today. And to our viewers, thank you for watching Info Plus on Himalayan Television. With me, your host, Rebecca Chetri. Until next time, take care and namaste.
Info Plus for genuine information.